Hey, how's it going? All right. Very good. So, sorry I've been out about a week. I had a work trip I needed to take. But in that work week, I did learn a little more about shaders, and I got to do a little work here on more of the aesthetics here. I really like how the sky turned out. Found some good shaders online, I will admit. Just slightly tweaked here. But I do like how it turned out. Kind of working now on some more aesthetics. I'm gonna mostly, when I start, work a lot of the aesthetics offline. I just don't know a whole lot about Blender and models and things, but I'm gonna be starting some of the assets here pretty soon. So for now, I will probably do some of that offline, at least until I get my feet a little bit wet. I am okay struggling through some things online for the most part, but I am sure it's not entertaining. So if it's not entertaining or useful, I'm okay if it's useful too, but probably not all that useful. So, today there's a couple known bugs I'm gonna try to work through. I may start working on some abilities, which could be fun. Right now, this button does nothing. And I think with like the sky and some other stuff, I can start some of those animations and make them kind of cool. So excited about that. We do have a day-night cycle now, which is kind of cool. Let's see if we can find the moon here. Maybe not. Somewhere out there is the moon. There are stars. So it's kind of come a long way. But yeah, so ultimately today, most of what I'm gonna be working on is, first I got a couple bugs to resolve. I'll kind of show you those real quick. So here's one of them. One, for some reason, when I'm on this square and I wait with this character, and then I'll wait with these two characters a few times here, and then I move. For some reason, there's a missing square here. I don't know why that is. Hoping to figure that out pretty quickly. Something in the algorithm, I'm thinking, because if you look through here, it has a movement of 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can get here, but something in this algorithm thinks this square is off limits. So I need to figure out why that is. Now, if I try moving and then I cancel and then move again, oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll wait till he gets there. Cancel. Yeah, and now he can move just fine. So it's a weird bug. That algorithm should look exactly the same for both of those. The inputs should be exactly the same. So I think on that one, the way I'm going to tackle the troubleshooting, something that collides in the missing square, maybe the A-star algorithm I'm using, that I actually developed my own A-star algorithm for this, doesn't really use collisions. The only inputs into that is the square with the type of mesh. I have a navigational mesh, or really it's a collision mesh, I guess, of number 2, like in that layer, that navigational layer. Player positions, so it does calculate player positions, but obviously we see the player positions are broken. This is another bug. You see they're on the same square. That shouldn't happen. So need to resolve that. There's a couple movement things that are new actually. So I don't know why they popped up, because I didn't have them before. It previously worked where you couldn't do that. Now, like if I move here and wait, I can't move my own square. So yeah, we'll figure that out. So not sure why, but I should be able to see all of the inputs into that algorithm pretty easily, and then I can compare them. I'll pull them out into like Excel or something, compare them, and then once I get them compared, I should be able to see what's going on. Should be pretty trivial. Treat you to a nice sunset here. Oh, this is kind of cool too. Okay, so the shader I'm using for the sky, there's 2 directional lights, the sun and the moon. One really cool thing about this, I think it's on day 53 around 6 a.m. Let's see if that's it. This is pretty cool. Oh, well, it's not going to work because, well, 7 a.m. might be okay. Let's check. I have it hard-coded to 7 a.m., which I probably need to change. And yeah, let me go back to 6. 1 second. Let me get rid of this hard-coded 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. thing. Right here. Let's see. I know the anticipation is mounting, but trust me, it's worth it. It's topical what I'm about to show you. Let's see here. if I can turn fast enough. And eclipse. Look at that. Happened to be working on some stuff and saw that. Anyway, the way the shader works is it detects the intersection between those lights and it actually processes an eclipse. So, pretty happy with it. That'll be a fun Easter egg, I guess. Considering this was in development over the 2024 eclipse. Okay. Ultimately, we can go back to day one, though. So that's the first thing I'm going to tackle, though, is that movement algorithm. I think that I've got at least a path forward here, which is essentially, hey, print all of these inputs here for my A-star algorithm. And look at that. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to do start. Goal. This may not be great. Actually, let's do them all in different ones. That way I can, and I'm going to do this so I can filter on them. Start. So I'm just going to create some print statements here. How many inputs do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to print out all the inputs here. And that should let me see everything. Things like grid are going to be impossible without pulling them out to like Excel to look at. So I'll probably look at those last. But I can at least look for differences. Everything should be exactly the same. Let's see. Full grid. And actually, it's not an A-star. It's actually, I have no idea how to pronounce this. It's a Dijkstra. Essentially, it's the version of A-star that says, hey, go look at all the possible things. Okay, so I have start, grid. I don't have a goal on this one, which is fine. So start, grid, level distance, vertical distance, full grid. And then pull these. Level distance. Vertical distance. But hey, it's good to see you, DJ. How have things been going? It's been a while since I've been on, but I feel like it's been even longer since I've seen you around. Let's see. So I'm just gonna print those out here. We'll check what the values are in both conditions when we're seeing it. I'm glad I could reproduce it. The first time I saw it, I was very confused. I was not able to reproduce it. And I was having a hard time. So I'm gonna see. I actually don't know if it happens. I don't think it happens with all the characters. We're gonna find out. Okay. So it does happen with all the characters. Interesting. All right, let's see. Let's do it with one, cancel, and now it's gone. Okay. So it'll be the last two on here. So let's start with just start. Okay. Start's the same. Grid, this is going to be impossible without taking to a, well, yeah, this is going to be hard without taking to like Excel or something. So I'll go drop those in like a Beyond Compare or something. Level, I spelled level wrong. Okay, same. Vertical, same. Okay, so it's either in grid or full grid. Let's see. I can do this. Let's just take it down to Word for a second. Word's not the best tool for this, but Word does have a pretty good comparator. I need to get, I don't know why I don't have like Notepad++. It's super, it's kind of ridiculous of me to not have it. I really should. Let's see, so grid. Let's grab this one here. Notepad++, I could drop these in and do a comparison in all of 2 seconds. With Word, I can do the same thing, but it's going to take a few seconds. Okay, basically, drop them in here. Actually, I can already, well, no, I can't. I was going to say I could already see a difference, but I can't. In fact, it all looks pretty much the same. I guess here, let's do full grid as well. Possible. Let's see. So I'm going to have two files here then. I'll have one that's grid and full grid here for the first one. and I'll do the next one. That should tell me what the problem is. I can't imagine that the algorithm is working differently. Write with regular node, I had to write on command line compile code. Huh. Interesting. What was your boss trying to prove? Yeah. For sure. Not sure what they were thinking. Sounds inefficient. Sounds like a bad boss. Let's see. I'm just gonna save these two files, compare, and then take this one. Do they have a rationale for that? That seems kind of strange. All right, so over on the side, I know you can't see what I'm doing, and I apologize for that. What I'm doing, though, real quick, is just creating two files with these two things. And then let's use I think I should be able to use Microsoft Compare tool here. So I can go to Review. I can say compare two versions. My original document is compare 1, new is compare 2. We can label these with just change, right? I mean, they should be the same. I can tell they're different, obviously. Let's see. So we got interesting. There's 3 revisions. Look, this last. So I add back in 412. So it's in the full grid. That 412 isn't there. Interesting. Okay, so that's coming from 1 to 2. I'm going from 701 to 412. And I imagine that 412, and I can check this real quick. I imagine 412 is this. So I did incorporate a button in my world node to have grid labels. Did this specifically so that I could quickly tell what the issues are here and be able to see what grids which things are on. Okay, so let's see. 412. It's not 412. Kind of interesting. Okay. Okay, 701 though. All right, let's look real quick. Oh, interesting. Look at that. Okay, so if we look at the latest one, okay, the one on top is the first one. So this is when it didn't work. And the one on bottom is the latest one. So you can see the 701 is in there. 701 doesn't actually exist. It's not, okay, interesting. Here's what I think's happening. First shot, right? This is not for sure given, right? But first shot on this is this shader I have, right? Or it's not really a shader, this hover square I have, it's at 701. So essentially, whenever I do this, the way I actually calculate and throw a square on, I want to do this better. I did this, it was like my first week of, no excuses here. It was like my first week of development. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I created these tiles here, right? They just exist as tiles. And it essentially what happens with these tiles is I just lay them one above where they're at, right? And just push them down to the lower tile. So really not a great way of doing it. So 701 is absolutely the tile. Now, my algorithm should throw away highlight squares. For some reason, it doesn't exist, which is okay. It's just a symptom. It exists on the first one. So I'm guessing I have a part of my algorithm. Okay, we're closing in. Let me show you this. That I think is what's happening. Okay, so let's pull this up real quick. Oops, sorry. All right, so part of my algorithm, I have a piece of code in here. If I go to the navigation set and I go to the bottom when it's calculating neighbors, I have a piece of code here that is meant to, right here, what it's meant to do is if there's a grid above you, then it prevents you from jumping through that grid. For a full grid, it should ignore those hover tiles, but obviously it's not. And so what it's saying is, hey, I can't jump here because this grid exists. So I bet, just for a test here, I bet when I travel from, I bet when I travel from where I'm at here, and go here, I bet I go around it. I don't. Okay. Oh, I was so sure. Okay, let's do this real quick. Okay. So I'm not going around it. Interesting. I go through it, which is, I shouldn't, because the code should, well, it might add it back. Okay. So it's just on this algorithm because then it passes in a new full grid that doesn't have the hover tile. So basically, I might just be missing getting rid of the hover tile. Let's try that real quick and see if that fixes it. I feel like that's the problem. I feel like in the Dijkstra, we'll call it, I feel like on the first pass, it's running into this and it's saying, hey, there's a square above me. I can't move there. So it ignores it and it doesn't count as a valid path. Then when it actually calculates the A star, it ignores in the full grid. It ignores the square above it. So 701, let's see. So we could look at that. 701 could be the vertical wall, but the code should also ignore any vertical walls, because if I look at like my tile map here, let's see. So if I look at like the tile map and I go to my, I guess we could look at the floor. So, but it should be ignoring these two because they are not in the navigation mesh. So I'm pulling in extra things. Yeah, it could be pulling in the vertical wall too. My floor tiles, if we go look at them real quick, they're in layer 2. I should only be pulling things into layer 2. Let's look at that real quick. It's very possible, yeah, that I'm just looking at that. It could be the vertical wall. It could be the little squares, little highlight squares, which absolutely, the way I'm going to replace it, now that I know how to do shaders, what I'll be doing to replace it is just draw a shader on top of those squares instead of having separate squares, and that'll solve a lot of problems. I'll tell you, the amount of bugs I had just dealing with those little tiles has been way too high. It's been really annoying. Essentially, I've had places where they replace tiles. They've done a lot of things. So there's a lot of code in here just preventing that. So yeah, let's see. The vertical wall actually exists at 6, -1, 1. But still, it very well could be a problem. So 60, yeah. So 601 does look like the hover square, but let's check it out. All I'm going to do now is let's do it in stages. I probably will end up finding an issue with one of those two things. So if I go to move select, I think that's where my code that does this is. Okay, so let's see. So it's only going to highlight things that aren't. Let's see. All right, let's see. Identify movement cells. That's the function. And so it's going to be here where I call this function. And so let me look at where the full grid is coming in. I'm pulling in all of the get used cells. That's kind of a problem. Okay, so let's see. We're going to save our world cells equals get world.getUsed cells. Okay. And then what I should do here, let's see. So I do develop these candidate cells, which I throw things out. I want to do something similar, but I want to be a little less restrictive, I think. So there's a difference in using the full grid. If I go back to my navigation, the reason I had to add this full grid is because when I'm getting the neighbors, it's specifically for down here. And it's to look at, hey, are there any boxes above me? So it's the entire reason I use this code. So all I need to do is throw out in my grid, I need to only look at things with navigation mesh 2, which should eliminate the vertical wall if that's the problem. And then look at things that are not in the highlight cell, which is basically this except the enemies list. So what I probably could do is I could say world. Let's do this actually to make this a little bit easier. Let's do this, and I'll say world cells dot push back grid cell. And what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to take something like this. Let's see. We'll say candidate. We'll keep that for a second. What I'm doing here is I'm essentially building up a check cell in candidate cells. And then I'm going to remove the enemies, which I think is the only part here. Let's see how I have this right now. Yeah. Basically gonna move the enemies position list from here. I guess you know what? No, I still need in the world cells, I still need the enemies position list because I've got to be able to not hit my head on them. And yeah, I still have the tiles in array, or I have the tiles in an array, which is this. This generates the array full of tiles. I just don't want to do this twice if I can avoid it. So I'm going to do it once. And then I'm going to go through all the candidate cells, and I'm going to remove the enemies from the candidate cells. Dot erase, check cell. Okay, so there you go. So now what I'm doing, and then I need to say world cells, remove at 0. There's probably a cleaner way to do this. I could just like define it, but I've had issues here. Like if I say, hey, this is an array, I've had issues with creating an array of vector 3s and working consistently. So this is the way I've done it. I will probably end up having a eureka moment and go clean it up sometime. But that's okay. It takes almost no time to do that. Okay, so let's see. So here, I don't want this actually. Maybe I do need to do this twice. I don't actually care about movement speed for the check cell. Yeah, let's go back here. Let's see. And I guess it wouldn't take very long to do this. Did I add enemies back? Yeah. Basically, I want this same thing, except I want world cells. I'll just do it twice. At some point, maybe I'll clean it up a little bit, but it really shouldn't take that long here. So grid cell, this is going to be world cells. And then it's a little more explicit, which I think being explicit's good. Don't really care about cell distance. I can get rid of this. So basically if it's a mesh of 2 and it's not a highlight cell, put it in my world cell array. So that'll create my world cell array. And then when I run this, instead of this, I can use world cells. When an array item's called that's not available, the engine system must yell. I've got some checks in there to, let me see. I think I have some checks in there to prevent that from happening. Essentially, I think if the tile doesn't exist, it would ignore it. Let's check. Let me look at this. Maybe not. I mean, it should never grab it, right? Because it starts with my get. Let me go back. Sorry, I lost this. Lost the plot here. Okay, so it starts with my get used cells. So it really should only get cells that are used when it actually does the navigation, right? It would only ever get used. The problem is that some cells are temporary, and those cells that are temporary are the highlight cells, right? These cells, these are all temporary. They move around. So at the time they existed, but then they disappear because, I move the highlight cell. This should work though. This right here should allow me to fix the problem. I think this will fix the glitch. Let's just do, I don't think I'll need to use this, but I like having full else definition just in case I need to go add that later. I don't have to think about it. Okay, let's check what happens here. Oh, I never did push back. I got to cancel that because I'm going to have this negative 99 everywhere, which doesn't exist. And so now, okay, this is a good case, right? So I'm throwing a cell that doesn't exist here. I expect this to crash. Maybe it didn't. Okay, it's a little bit robust then, but you can see there. Okay, so full grid, one thing to know, full grid's only ever used to check if things are above you. So in this case, it probably doesn't matter that much because it doesn't actually like do anything with that cell. It just checks it. It's not trying to run like a function on it. All it's doing is checking if it exists so I don't hit my head on it. And the whole point, I can show you on the bridge. I could even comment that out, but on the bridge, I can show you what's going on. Essentially, the point of that bridge is to test stuff like this. Okay, so let me get my guys all here. Get the gang here. Now, a moment of truth. Fixed. Problem solved. So yeah, so what was happening was either, it could have been the wall, could have been the highlight cell. One of those two things was causing issues where it thought it was above them just during that first initial capture. And so I can show you a little bit what's happening here. Like if I go underneath the bridge and I try to like jump on the bridge, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here. So you stay. Okay, like if I jump up here, see he has to go around. Previously, before I implemented that piece of code, he would try to jump through the bridge, right? Especially if there was like somebody, an enemy up on the bridge, because my grid didn't include all of the squares I could access. It included a limited set. So we got there. I still have this issue, right? This should be using the same algorithm to determine where enemies can move, but I must be missing enemy list in the target. I did have to make this a little more complicated because, you know, nobody's selecting it. The computer is selecting it. So here's what this looks like. It's going to look very similar. You can see I kind of grab a list of candidate cells, and then from the candidate cells, I define a movement cells, and I just say, hey, be the candidate cells. And then I check and I erase the allies, which I think allies in this case actually is allies and not enemies. Let me make sure. Oh, interesting. So I do have that backwards. That could be the problem. This might just need to be. So I add. Let's see. Ooh, okay. That might be all. I might just be looking at the wrong. This might just need to be enemies. Because then I take all the enemies, I erase them where I can't land on those cells. And this is probably already allies. That's enemies position list. Okay. Which maybe this should be allies position list. Is that right? They should be the same. Let me go look at my move select. These should ultimately be the same because it's smart enough to know and select, okay, that should be enemies. And let's see. That should be enemies, and this remove chunk should be allies. I might have just got confused. Okay, so this should be enemies, and this should be allies. All right, never mind. Never mind. Okay, so I should erase all the allies. Let me make sure really quick. All right, so if active enemy is in the allies group, then yeah, do this. Otherwise, flip it. And so I would be in the enemies group. And so I would get these two, which honestly, I'm probably overcomplicating this. I probably should just do this every time because I'm specifically in my enemy state. But hey, maybe at some point the enemy gets confused or something and joins a different group. So we'll leave it for now. I guess the benefit too is I could also use this same code for like AI allies if I leave it like this. So I'll just leave it. I like that. Okay, so let's see. So I check all the cells for the allies list. I erase them from that list. And then what I do here is, this is the first time I run an algorithm. I have the same problem where I get used cells. But that's just, again, that's just for this. So what I can do is go grab that same code, because it'll have the same problem, which is essentially this code. So that should be pretty easy to implement here. All right, there we go. And then I would use world cells instead of that. World cells. And then world cells. Excuse me. Okay. So now somewhere between here and here, I'm adding back in my enemy list, and it's probably here. I think this got flipped. Is it a 2D array? Yeah, well, no, it's just a long array. This is the array, how it's defined. So it's just a long array of vector 3s. That's all it is. So no, it's pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Not too complicated here. Okay, let's see. So let's see what we got here. I'm gonna also probably turn back off there. Let me see. Let's run these guys forward. I just want to see the enemies move. They shouldn't move on top of each other anymore. We'll find out. Well, yeah, they're moving a little different, which is good. Let's see. All right, let's just wait around. I might make like a little funnel for them, actually. Oops. We'll make a little funnel like this. That way they have to move on top of each other, and we can confirm that we fixed it. I think I just had that wrong. And the mindset shift whenever you have things dynamically assigned. They ran on top of each other. Okay. Huh. Okay. So it wasn't this. Let's think through this really quickly. So movement cells. That is the possible thing. So right now it's getting through several wickets where all of the ally positions should be gone. Okay, so movement nodes. Yeah, that was a good thought. The A-star algorithm I have that I developed, the reason I developed my own is because it runs through a lot of calculations and it needed to be really optimized. So I needed that calculation to be as simple as possible. So I really took it down to, hey, what's the least number of calculations I can do? And that was with a one-dimensional array. That would be good, though. It'd probably be helpful. I don't know. I don't think I have a need right now for it, but I could definitely see where in the future, for any issues, I could definitely go that route. But for now, it's not too bad. You know, I pass in all the essentially nodes. I treat all of these. If you think about like data atomicity, right? I treat every block as one piece of data, and that piece of data is a tile. Separating them, because all of this data has to be together. Yeah, it could be almost like a dictionary, right? Of saying, hey, you know, X, Y, Z, whatever. Could be good, but yeah, this works pretty well, and makes the code really simple, keeping it all in one place here. I just have this funny thing as a result, right? An array of vector 3s. I don't know why. Again, I've had just some weird assignments if I don't explicitly call this out, but it's fine. Hey, Inky, how are you doing? Good to see you. All right, so somewhere in here, and I guess I could print. I gotta print some more things, which I guess isn't too bad. Let's go back to enemy, move enemy. That's where the problem is. So in one of these two algorithms, it's allowing you to move the enemy to move on top of their own square, which I don't want them to do, obviously. Let's see. And so ultimately, right here, This is not Unreal. This is in Godot. But Godot's pretty good. Honestly, I've been pretty impressed. It's easy to use. It's looks nice. Not too bad at all. So I've been pretty happy with it. Let's see here. Okay, so here's how this works. So first I go through, and the reason why I have this twice is because first it tries to find, hey, where is this target at? And what is the closest square to them? So it runs that first, and then it grabs the target square from that to run another algorithm to essentially dodge. I think it's actually maybe it is supposed to be enemies. So essentially make sure you don't end up in an enemy square. Not an ally square from the perspective of the enemies, but an enemy square. Because I was running into an issue where essentially when I found my target, the algorithm would get really stalled up because it was having a hard time with all the calculations. So this simplified it, and actually I could reduce the number of iterations I went through by doing it twice, which really helped me because it was running through like 1,000 iterations. Now it can run through like 10, but end up with the same result and allow me to actually land on the square. The problem, so that worked well, but the problem now is that for some reason I can run on top of each other, and maybe it's just thinking through this here. So I do append the allies position list. So I do put the allies position list back in. Okay. So I take my target position. Where is it's a last movement node. So I take my allies positions out. Can you in GDScript run your iterations in an external thread? Maybe. I might not be smart enough to do so, but it is maybe it's a possibility. I can run it and change it live, right? So yeah, I could kind of tweak it and kind of check some things with it running, and maybe that would help. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's a feature of GDScript or not. Could be helpful. So it's got to be in here. So it has to be in the first one when I land on here, because this is actually where it defines like what my final target node is right here. And so I pinned my target position. I think this is the problem. I think I am clearing my ally list, and then I'm adding it back potentially if target position is this. So what I could say is I could say if target position is not or is in allies position list. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it could be, and I think C# or I've thought about that recently. Is like, hey, my like A* algorithm, anything that takes a lot of muscle, right? Go code it up in C#. However, it's even though Godot, one of the things that GDScript is bad about, right? If I wrote everything in GDScript and I was running GDScript, it would be painfully slow compared to C#. However, everything you see here in GDScript is a script that's running C# in the background. So if you can do it in C#, I'm sure you can do it in GDScript, because all GDScript is doing is making calls to C# libraries. So I bet you can do it. I'm probably just not smart enough to do it. Something maybe I can look into to see if that's helpful here. But yeah, so I looked into a lot of optimization between C# and GDScript. So that's kind of what I found was that. Well, good deal. That's awesome. Glad to hear. Let me add it to my my Trello board here so we can look at it. So I'll add a to-do, run iterations in external thread. I'm gonna add a research topic here. I'm gonna add it as actually on this bug side because it's not an explicit to-do. We'll put it up in my other research topics. Good deal. Sounds like it could be useful here. Okay, so I think I say, hey, if it's not in the position list, add it there. The problem here, I think, though, is that, so where do I define, so the target position is the position of the enemy. Let me check that. Target position. No, that's, here's the deal. Target position should never be an ally. So I'm gonna print here. I'm gonna say print. This should not be the case. I'll do an else, I guess. Else. Flag. Let's see. Actually, let's push warning. Target should not be ally. Could be the case in like some cases, I guess, if you're confused or something, you could do that. But for now, I'm gonna push a warning and I'm gonna see what if I return anything when they step on top of each other. I don't think I will. I'm thinking through it a little more, and that's really just like my target position. It's not really. Let me get rid of this so I can see things. It's not really. And I'm gonna turn off that grid because that's terrible to look at. Let's see. World grid labels. They come on at the beginning of the cycle. Yeah, I'm not convinced that this will solve anything here. The reason I'm not convinced is that within this code, I still have. I'll drift for a second. I still have like target position is just the position of your target, which should never be an ally. So that's really not my problem, I don't think. This right here grabs the close. It's going to grab a path, calculate the path to my enemy, or I guess my enemy here. On the main game thread. Yep, understand, yeah. No problem. I'm very new to programming, or not programming. I'm very new to game development. So no, super helpful whenever you're offering tips like that. And I'll admit, sometimes I don't understand them all. I am not a software developer. I'm a systems engineer posing as a software developer here. So, doing my best to keep up. But no, I always appreciate learning more and can go research after the fact, which is helpful. Okay, let's see. So we'll wait here. Okay, they're on top of each other. I did not get a warning, so that is not in the code where the problem is. I'm gonna get rid of that because it could be an ally, and really that would be completely fine. I wouldn't have a problem if the target was the ally, but it won't be. Okay, so essentially that's not the issue. Yeah, so I'm actually a systems engineer. Well, system engineer. So I have a master's in systems engineering, my bachelor's in aerospace engineering, and I work for a rocket company actually doing rocket development. I do avionics development for a rocket company developing for space travel. So it is fun. It's definitely different from what I do on a day-to-day basis. I deal a lot with software. I do a lot of automation. So a lot of my coding backgrounds like Python, VBA, that sort of stuff. But systems engineering, not really software development. So my background is not in like the software. Like I don't have a degree in software development. So a lot of the like actual concepts are maybe a little over my head. I can execute, right? I can make code that works. But I am not a software developer, and I won't pretend to be. So definitely coming from a different, very different background and job here. This is fun as well, though. Maybe a little less exciting, but it is fun. So this is just a hobby I'm doing. Interesting here. Okay. So movement cells. What I probably should do is print out. Let's go to A star enemy and pull my prints in there. That should let me see, and I can compare really quick when they go on there. Very cool. That's great. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, software developer. I think game development is so much fun. If I was actually like a good software developer, I'd probably be trying to find a job in game development. It is addicting. Unfortunately, I can't really translate all that well what I do to game development most of the time. I have a very unique, background for avionics development, but it translates okay. But that's great. In business applications, honestly, I think that sort of thing, automation. I imagine you probably doing a lot more in depth, like servers and that sort of stuff. But the automation side of it really translates well into game development. There are a lot of parallels. All right, let's see what we got here. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer my start, my grid, vertical distance, and full grid. I'm going to look at those, and I'll just try to take a look and see if they contain. Really, grid is the one I'm looking at. So grid is the variable that contains the movable squares. So what I should look at is, hey, when does the movable squares contain my enemy positions, or I guess my ally positions in that reference? It should be never, but I'm guessing that it does all the time. Oh, interesting. I gotta get an error. What's that error? Oh, print overflow. Okay. Well, they probably got the data I need. Wow. Okay. Grid is, nope. Grid overflowed. Huh. Interesting. Let me turn back on my grid map because I'm gonna need to know grid labels here. Let's do this. Let's look at just. Oops. Oh, no problem at all. Very good English. I don't speak any other languages, so I have very high respect for those that do. What's your primary language? All right, let's see if I can just get grid out of here. Native German. That's right. I actually remember you talking about that already. Don't know much German. I learned a little bit of Polish. Know quite a bit of Spanish. Taken several years. So, let me think. I know things like, I think Danke schön, right? I mean, it means thank you. I haven't been to Germany, so I haven't had a chance to immerse myself there, except through an airport. I have stopped at the airport in Germany. Let's see. So that should give me the data I need. All right. So, hey, Journey, how's it going? Good to see you. We're kind of working out some bugs. Actually, I missed a thing here. Good to see you, Journey. Sorry, I've been out a week or so because I was out for work. Position. Actually, let's print my allies position list. That's really what I need here. And I only need to do it once. Moin. How do you pronounce that? Is it like Moin? Is that pretty good? You teach me German as we go along. Let's see. So move enemy. Let me print. Oh, I have it. Look, well, yeah, that's good. Okay, so grid, player position list, perfect. Awesome. Moin. Good. Glad to hear it. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna drop this in here so I can see it. This is player position list. I need a dark mode on my my thing here. I don't know if I have one. Okay. And then grid. Let's take the grid here. ultimately, what I should be able to show is that these two squares are not in here. So if I just search -3, 0, -1, spaces in there. Yes. Oh, that's -10. Okay, what about 4, 0, 0? Yeah, appreciate it. I was in Seattle for a week, so it is in there. Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. Moin. I'll have to keep that in mind. I'll have to use it. Okay, so yeah, my position is in here, which is a problem. I want it to not be in there. Ultimately, let's see. Oops, cancel. Okay, so ultimately then I go get that list. I return it. It should be in my ally position list. If I look at this up here, when I enter this, the active enemy would be in the ally or the enemy group. So I would go to this and I would go look at allies position is my enemies. Okay, so sorry, I keep getting tripped up by this this convention, but it's important. So, okay. Ultimately then what that means is right here when I'm removing this cell from the movement cells, it's not getting removed because movement cells here is grid. And I am erasing it. I'm wondering if erase it is working on my other cells here. Let's check here. And so there is a kind of interesting thing here, and that might actually okay, kind of interesting thing, and it could fall under this. Okay, so Godot or GDScript at least uses two different kind of data types for vector3s, vector3 and vector3i's. Vector3i's are of course integers, right? So there's no decimals, there's no floats. Vector3 can have floats. And so here, when I'm checking my allies position list, I am using vector3. Yeah, we have the same kind of convention here. It's like, hey, what's up? So the interesting, I guess here in America, maybe it's a little bit different. We say like, hey, what's up to people we know, and we do a nod up, right? And if we don't know the person, we say hello, right? Like, hi. And it's very subconscious. Even I have a 2-year-old and he does it already, right? It's like, if you know the person, you kind of give a, hey, what's up? If you don't, you say, hey, what's up? Both completely valid, both completely fine. It's just familiarity with the person is the only difference. So that is interesting. And yeah, we do like a, hey, follow me, come on. So nod right being what's interesting. Yeah, we do the same thing. Like, hey, it's over here. It's just depending on what direction you're going. But that's good to know. If I'm ever in Germany, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say, moin. Is that good? Moin. You'll have to let me know how far off I am. Let's see. I'm thinking it might be something like that. Okay, so movement cells is a vector3i. Check cell is a vector3i. When I'm erasing check cell from movement cell, it should work because it's all vector3i. So I don't think that's the problem. I'm gonna print. Let's print check cell. I'll say removed check cell just to make sure it's getting removed. We'll look at that. And so in this case, I should see the position, which I can do this right here. And now we can see the position list. I should see it getting removed every time. Let's find out. All right. They're also set on, so the reason they're not moving, by the way, is they're set to only follow when they're within a certain number of cells from an enemy. So right now they were not. Okay. So let's see. Let's stop that. Okay, so position list, same kind of thing here. 400. And so if I go to removed, it did remove 400. This work or? Yeah, I feel like there's a level of efficiency, and I'm a very awkward person. Small talk I don't do well with. Small talk is hard. I feel like everybody else is a lot better in America at small talk than I am, but that's all right. Yeah, it's yeah, I get it. Absolute kind of difference in culture there. But honestly, small talk I think is overrated. I think anytime you're having small talk with somebody, nobody actually wants to be having the small talk. It's all just like a nicety, right? But I feel like on both sides of it most of the time, both people are thinking, how do I get out of the small talk? I imagine there are some people that like small talk. So if you like small talk in your chat, correct me if I'm wrong here. People I talk to, people I've asked about this, we don't like small talk. So it's just one of those things you do, maybe to not feel awkward, but I'm pretty awkward anyway. So interesting. So I'm adding it back. Let's see. Let me print target position. Maybe I'm adding it. Maybe I'm adding it back with target position, right? Either that or I'm not actually adding it. Maybe movement cells.erase is not doing what I think it's doing. Should be. Like if I look at removed, -400. That's good. Player position, -400. There's also a -500. So it's this one. I'm guessing. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for sure, makes sense to. It's better, I guess, than like if you just go up to somebody and you're just, hey, I need this. Hey, go get me that TPS report, right? Probably not as fun, but yeah, like in the supermarket and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I feel you. It is nice sometimes to kind of feel like a person, right? It's very human, very human. And I absolutely think it kind of depends on the person, right? I mean, like, yeah, if it's a stranger in a supermarket and, you're asking a question. Honestly, if you ask me the question, I'd be okay with it. But a lot of people feel like, yeah, you should go kind of, hey, how's your day? The niceties, right? So, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. I'm not sold. Okay, that time I did not remove it. Born in the wrong country. Everybody's different, right? No matter what country you're from, everybody's a little different. That's okay. So yeah, very interesting. That time I didn't remove it. Hey, Christopher Yee, how's it going? Good to see you. So yeah, it has nothing to do with target, we've learned. But yeah, so sometimes I'm not removing these cells, which is very interesting. And it's possible, I guess, that it's not in my movement cells to begin with. I would think it would be, though. Thanks, Christopher. Appreciate it. Yeah, I imagine you probably get some looks from that one, DJ. Not sure what to think about that. But yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. It's going along pretty good. We have this kind of weird bug that we're kind of working through. Essentially trying to, on one of the enemy AIs, they should not be able to walk on top of each other, and they are. And everyone in the code says they should not be able to walk on each other. So doing some debugging here. Have the grid numbers out so we can try to figure out what's going on. They're probably not even helpful anymore, but yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge. We did solve one bug already today, so oh, actually, hey, I never crossed it off. Let's pull up the thing here. So that's right here, complete. The bug I'm working isn't even on here. I guess I'm going to say enemies move on top of each other, which is a bug I used to not have. But yeah, going good. Let's see here. So I'm not removing it every time. Let's print. I need to print movement cells at just various times. It's a big list, so I really don't want to do that. If I can debug it by analysis, I'd much rather do that. Let me see here. So the only thing I can think of is maybe this catch here is not catching all of my position list here. Let's do this really quick. From position list, just to get it all in one place. Kind of thinking that potentially I'm, so it should pull them every time. It should pull the whole thing. I can do a ray trace, and a ray trace wouldn't be that bad, but everything, the actual like collision for these people are pretty small, right? So actually seeing them would be challenging, I think, just because everything is grid-based. I'm trying to keep everything grid-based, which, you know, I guess I don't have to, but I should be able to detect which grids I can or can't go on. That should be pretty easy, because I know where all the people are. If I know where my people are, I should be able to detect, you know, what's going on. Let me just run this for a while. I'm going to collect a couple data sets so I can look at them. Hey, Joseph, how's it going? It's going well. We're just, we're debugging right now. We're kind of looking at some interesting situation here with movement where the enemies are able to move on top of each other, even though I have explicit code to prevent it. So you see, they just moved on top of each other. They shouldn't have been able to do that. And so that's what we're trying to solve. Now what I can do is look at this code here. And I can look at this. And I can see that I did indeed remove their square from the position list, assuming it's the last one. So yeah, what I'm working at right now is tactical RPG. And so in this tactical RPG, the idea is that the world starts out just kind of a normal fantasy world with no magic. And magic's going to be unlocked somehow. Potentially like a portal or something gets opened up that kind of lets magic into the world, or some kind of tome, something, right? And then what happens is, after that, magic, there's going to be essentially a new mechanic. It's going to happen very early on, right? Like first fight. New mechanic where the entire game is going to be about learning magic and using that to go solve some problem, whatever it is, fight the big bad. And so you, the big bad, all your enemies are going to kind of be learning magic at the same time and fumbling into it a little bit. So there's going to be kind of a wild magic mechanic where at certain points you may learn different spells based on things you've done, things you've used, things you've seen, right? You may use that spell maybe in like unpredictable way in battles at some point, which allows you to then use experience to actually like unlock that node to learn the spell. So that's kind of the main mechanic. Is going to be all about, so it's going to be a tactical RPG, very customizable, all about kind of learning different spells. Of course, there are going to be different like trees, right? There's going to be more fighter-based spells, going to be more mage-based skills or abilities, right? But it's going to kind of follow down that path. So it's going to be kind of new for everybody. It should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think it's going to, my whole thing is I want like the story to kind of revolve around the mechanics and they all to make sense within the concept of the world. So that's kind of what I'm going for there. And so I'm going to try to, as we're kind of working on that part of the mechanic, really be thinking about, hey, how does this impact that, right? So, yeah. And yeah, in the state of the field so that you know exactly what's going on in the neighbor field. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get you. So if you had like a 4-dimensional array, you're saying you could have like the 4th dimension be, hey, this is the properties of that square. One thing I could do Yeah, I could create a dictionary. That's not a bad idea. If I created a dictionary of all the cells, then I could have the key for the dictionary be the cell location, and then the next field, right, of the dictionary be the status. That could be a solution, because then what I could do is cycle through that and say, hey, if it's is it movable or not movable, right? I like that idea. Actually, I'm gonna take that note, and that would involve quite a bit of code change, but I'm gonna put it in my to-do because I like that. So essentially, replace movement with cell dictionary. Maybe that's not actually that hard to code up. The only problem there is something weird, and the reason why I have it coded this way again is essentially I want to be able to walk through my allies. Hey Joseph, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. I want to be able to walk through my allies, but I don't want to be able to walk on their cells. So that's why, like, I get rid of the ally squares here. I run my node to find my target, and down here, I append my ally position list. This is probably what's happening. The only problem is my last movement node should be where I'm going. And maybe I can't get there. Maybe that's the problem. Actually, that makes a lot of sense, thinking through that. Okay, maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot. Maybe I should be talking here, and I should say move to last movement node. It may be that my last movement node actually isn't somewhere I can move, and so I'm landing on a ally cell when I can't reach it. I kind of feel like we're on the right track now. That was a good talk through here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what's in my head right now, what I'm thinking is the way that code works is it first kind of identifies, hey, this is the cell I need to go to be able to attack wherever my target is, and then it actually moves my guys, and it has to append my ally list on the end because it needs to be able to. I need to be able to walk through my allies, but I should not be able to walk on top of my allies. So let's see if I can get them to chase me here on top of each other. Okay, so I walk through them. Just wait. I'm kind of funneling them in to get them to do that. Okay. So let's wait here. Get the next person to run up there. He should run on top of him. Okay. This is okay, so you start actually watching something and then it doesn't work. Okay. Now it doesn't look like there's an issue. I don't think I changed anything, so I still think there's a bug. Oh, this is kind of annoying. Let's see. I was able to reproduce it all stream. I was able to consistently reproduce it, and now there's a problem. I didn't change anything, right? All I changed was this print. Maybe looking at it, change the result. Is this the what is this? The double slit experiment, right? Yeah, could do that as well. I am going to absolutely implement the dictionary because I think that's really helpful. To be able to get data on your tiles, I think that's super helpful. And I could even have like a multi-cell thing, right? Like I could have 2 arrays, right? I could have a full dictionary of all the keys, which is the keys could be all the tiles, and my second array could be like statuses. And so the array might look like maybe I have a new status array that's like movable, right? And then it's like terrain type. I mean, like I could have a bunch of stuff there. So I do like that. I think it's good. I already do have so the player controller, I already passed like just the nodes to walk on. But I'm trying to keep all of my movement code in kind of one place. Exactly, yeah. Avoid like water, trees, rock fills. I actually already have that too, which is essentially right here. I just have everything coded in a layer. So it's a specific navigation layer. And if that navigation layer is 2, then you could use it. So I do have that coded already, passed in here, but that is still a good solution. Like if I want to add cells, right? Like maybe someone can walk on water. I could add that back using that method. So I do like that a lot. I am curious here that now that we're observing it, it's not breaking on me. I don't think I changed anything, right? Did you see me change anything? I don't think I changed, at least I changed the print statements, but I didn't change anything that should have fixed the problem. And maybe what I need to do is after this, go look at that VOD and take the exact same steps, because the enemy is not doing anything random. The enemy is determinate right now. So ultimately, if I do the same thing, the enemy should do the same thing. Yeah, sorry, Journey. I've been moving around kind of fast here, but just trying to resolve bugs here. Okay, I think it's fixed, because he should have walked on top of him right there. So I won't say it's fixed. Right now, it's what I'd call an unverified failure, which is the worst position to be in, because an unverified failure, you don't know you know what the problem is, but you don't know the root cause, and you'll never get to the root cause likely, because you can't reproduce it. We'll have to, let's see, this is a chance here. Yeah, for sure, and you'll get it. I'm excited to see you, expand on your game. We can learn together there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to call this an unverified failure. I think this is our first unverified failure. I haven't had a problem I couldn't reproduce ever. So let me, on here, I'm just going to tag this like UVF, unverified failure. Unverified, I'm going to put like at 1:16:57 on 4/21, failed to reproduce. Issue, saw previously in stream. I'll go relook at this. So I'll add a to do here to go look at reproduce UVF. Essentially what I want to do is look at VOD and walk through exact same steps. For now, I'm probably going to move on. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I was excited to resolve that one. It resolved itself, and that's never fun. It seems like it should be fun when you're not experiencing an issue. It's never fun. Okay, so where we're at right now, then, let's look at this here. Things are looking pretty good. The game looks pretty good. It's acting pretty good. It's not interesting, right? It wouldn't be fun to play yet. So I need to start adding some abilities and things. But it does look pretty good. Coming up, not today, but coming up, what I'll be doing is starting to develop some assets. I've got a style in mind, so I'm going to kind of work through that. I'll probably start with like grass and try to create like a field. I'll keep using these Mixamo robot assets for now, because they are available. They're easy. But I was kind of thinking through like, hey, do I outsource this? Do I develop it? And I guess my rule for outsourcing is like, do I want to learn that, right? Or do I have like the equipment and abilities to pick it up and learn it? And I think I do. I have Blender. I have a lot of experience with 3D modeling. And it's not the same, right? It's never been like sculpting. My experience with 3D modeling is designing parts for aerospace applications. But hey, it's gonna translate. So I did download Blender. I've started designing some grass in Blender. I will probably get on stream and do some Blender development here before too long. I've avoided it till now just because I don't know what I'm doing. And Blender, interesting thing about Blender, right? Of course they have like a user interface. Everyone everywhere uses a ton of hotkeys, and so I need to learn a lot of those hotkeys, I think, before I can really get good at it. But that'll be the next step. Yeah, so the art style I'm going to try to do, kind of thinking like more stylized, more kind of leaning into the kind of anime-ish almost, right? Like very stylized characters. Looking for something that's impactful. I think I was kind of thinking I'd go more on the realistic side at first, but after I kind of got into it and kind of looked at stuff, I think doing a more stylized look could be a ton of fun, add a lot of more character to the game, and kind of give me something to learn, right? Yeah, you'll have to let me know how. I'll have to go check those out. Journey, have you done any streaming on your Blender characters? I'm kind of in the research phase right now. I've kind of researched, hey, here's how I want to do characters. Here's how you do them. The rigging, I think I have. So I think I've got rigging down where I can rig characters up. Animations, I will be using Mixamo a lot. So one of my requirements for my characters is that I can use them in Mixamo. So that should be fun. Let's see. So, but yeah, the actual sculpting part, I am just not really sure about yet. I think the idea, right, and I think I could do this, is essentially create reference drawings and then sculpt around those reference drawings. But yeah, I'll try to check out your style too. I originally I was thinking, I would just outsource it. I'd have someone else do it. I would kind of I'd just hire somebody to do the art. More I think about it now, the more it did work. We got through. It was successful. Nobody walked on top of each other. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Gotcha. Yeah, I'll check them out. I do think I want to learn now rather than hire somebody, at least for now. I think after I learn it, I'll be more apt to kind of say like, yeah, this is okay. Just depending on if I like it or not. I don't even know if I'm going to like it or not. But yeah, we got through the game once without any bugs. So that's good. So I think that means I am ready to start developing abilities. I probably won't do it tonight because it's getting very late. It's a little later than I was kind of hoping to be at this point in the stream. Next thing I wanted to do was kind of work on music a little bit. So I think that I'm going to transition to that for probably 10 or 15 minutes and then call it a night. Oh, good. You got your server up? I remember you were working on that, I think, last time. 204% CPU. That sounds wrong, but let's see. Good deal. I'll check out your video, Journey. I'm excited to see it. All right. So I think we're going to call it for coding today. Thanks for joining us, those who are more interested in the coding side. Let's see. Now we're going to transition here into... let me change that here. Let's see. Goal. No good news. Let's see. So goal here is going to be develop OST main chord progression. So music is actually where I am, and I'm going to change this font because this font is awful. I changed it for something and never changed it back. Didn't ever realize that I had that on there. Okay, let's find a good font. Let's see, I'm just font hunting here. Let's see. I can't really see them here. How's that? That's not bad. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do more than just the characters. I think I'm gonna do. So I'm working on grass right now. Actually, I guess I can pull that up. I mean, if you guys are interested. I do need to learn Blender a lot more. I think before I do it on stream. So far, I have built grass, and I've built some blades of grass, and there they are. They're beautiful. And so the idea is that I'll have these blades of grass, they will fill one tile, and I'll be replacing my tiles with more stylized things. And so this is the kind of style I'm going for. Yeah. I think it's going to look good. I got to develop a style, kind of. I'm not quite there yet. Okay, so when I transfer here, you are going to lose me for a second. I've got to copy and paste this into my file. Let's see. I'm going to mix my... Okay, so the goal here... Then, let me find my file real quick. Let's see. So the goal here is going to be to, let me see if I can just, I think it's one of these untitled. Oh. All right. Can you hear me? Okay. I think, yeah. So on my end, this changed quite a bit. I never did figure out. Let me turn this down real quick first, actually. Let's see. I never did figure out. Oh, man. Okay, that's fine. Let me just turn my headset down real quick. I got really loud in my ears. Kind of messed me up. Check, 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 check. There we go. That's better. Okay. Let's see. I never did figure out how to make sure I'm sending you guys the same thing I'm sending. I think it's probably as simple as like something like this, right? Like sending a send through the master or something. Size. Oh, so yeah, it's going to be a pretty big game. I have a long way to go. Quixel. I'll have to look at what Quixel is. I haven't heard of it. But yeah, so the game will have a pretty long story. I don't know what that story is yet necessarily. I have some notes. But my target, I think, is something like a 50-hour game or so. And it'll be what you saw in terms of like Zoom. It'll be what you saw. It'll be very customizable. Some people are going to like playing it more like in the top down, right? Like some people are going to just want to play it like from the top looking down. Some people are going to want to play it more close up. Like a third person kind of thing. If you've seen like XCOM or anything, I think they have some customizability. Some people are going to want to play it like this. If you played like Final Fantasy Tactics, it's isometric. So you have 4 views. You have this, and this. I am not going for that, right? It's going to be customizable. You can kind of do what you want, just depending. So these are kind of the controls. I have a controller in my hand. It's pretty intuitive. But yeah, so these are the control, and I can show you here. I need like a hand cam, but so the controls will be like this. So you kind of get a chance to kind of mess around and see different ways, right? Which is good because that customizability is good. All right. So let me I need to pull an instrument out real quick. Last time we were working on music, we essentially kind of worked through a couple chord progression, a very simple chord progression, like 4 chords. We did a 4-5-3-6 kind of thing, kind of working the main theme first. I'm going to try to mix that up a little bit. The goal today is going to try to get a chord progression that we can actually use in this loop, either keys or guitar. I'm going to pull up my guitar though real quick. Give me 2 seconds to do this real quick. I'm going to hit play so you can just start listening. All right. Lost my in-ears here. Yeah, I'd love to. Let's see. All right. So we're gonna replace everything in here. Let me. All right. So let's see. So I think I'm gonna do something similar to what we're doing here. Let me make sure you got sound here. Let me tune up real quick here. All right. Let me see here. Which channel am I in here? 2. Oh, that's dirty. Let's see if I can get a better sound for this. All right, I'm gonna take out some of the distortion here. I want something pretty clean. Something kind of rolled back. I can't remember what key I had this in. All right, I think, let me see this real quick. Let me just try to remember the key. I need to note some of this. All right, so it looks like I'm in the key of A. Is that right? Okay. Or probably not, because it's 4/5. So what am I in the key of E? Yeah, okay. So then, all right, let me try to get a good sound here. This is not a good sound here. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been playing guitar a lot longer than I've been programming. I started playing guitar, I guess, when I was around 10. And it's been fun. It's been a fun journey, kind of learning. Okay, think it's something like this, you know? This is called the Golden Road chord progression. It's a 4/5, 3, 6. And then what I can do is here, go back to the 4, 5, 6. Think it's something like that. Let me make sure it's coming through okay. I need to get a better sound though. I don't like all this delay potentially. I may go to really raw and then use Ableton to do that. I'm also getting a weird delay. Let me real quick just set my preferences to pull in. Hey, can you hear me now? Let's check here. All right, ran into an issue. I have my mic running through my Ableton, right? You can see that right here. Yeah, it's So essentially, I broke my sound driver for Ableton by looking at it. That's one of those things. You look at things too much, and you either cause or resolve problems. So this is the issue. So I need to fix that. This is like live troubleshooting here. Can you hear me okay now? Even you're through my webcam mic, so it's not going to sound very good. Let's see. I may have to come back. That's really unfortunate. Let's see. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Okay, so what I can do, I think, is turn those off. Yeah. Let's see this real quick. How's that? Better? Okay. You should be able to hear me at least okay. Man. I might have to call it a night, because this usually, when I have this problem, usually involves resetting my audio drivers. I just crashed. So that's really unfortunate. We'll see. That's really unfortunate. Let's check. Audio's disabled here. Yep, might have to call it a night. That's an unfortunate way to end the stream. Anytime you're working with technology, technology's the worst. Okay, so note to self, no modifying my drivers in the middle of this. Okay, let's check. Hey, thanks for the follow through all the technical issues. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to call it. I'll have to come back to this, unfortunately, because I'm gonna have to reset OBS in order to get back here. So next time, what I'll do, I'll get this set up. Next time, I'll make sure all my drivers are ready without having to kind of go back, and we'll dive into it. Glad you enjoyed it though, and I hope to see you again soon. Probably was about time to call it a night anyway. So next time, what we'll do is I'll probably start with some of this and then go into the code development. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll try to find someone to raid real quick though. Here. We've been finding some really cool people. We've gotten to meet some cool people through raiding, so let's see who we got. I'm going to try to find somebody who's pretty new. Yeah, OBS, it can be stressful. One fun tip for OBS that solves like a lot of my issues, actually, is run it as an administrator. So if you're not already running OBS as an administrator, do so. It really helps. It may not seem like much, but it just gives you the right resources to your OBS and allows kind of that to take focus. All right, really quick, going to find someone with a couple viewers here, so we can kind of switch over. Let's see. All right, we'll raid Sticks and or Stones. I don't know this person, so hopefully they're good. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you. I'll probably be back on, if not tomorrow, definitely Wednesday. So thanks everybody, and we'll catch you soon. Everybody say hi to Sticks and or Stones over here, and have a good night. Thanks for hanging out.